Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to the Rangers Rabble. This is your match reaction as Rangers defeat Hearts 2-0 in the Scottish Cup semi-final to set up an Old Firm final. Strange game, if we're all being brutally honest with ourselves. It was open. There was chances for both teams. There was some horrendous football, horrendous passing. There was some really good football, really good passing, and there was some extremely strange finishing, which I'm pretty sure I don't even know if you can call it finishing, but we will certainly get on to it. So hello and welcome. We are live on YouTube. If you're watching there, please do give us a like and make sure that you are subscribed. And share the podcast on YouTube as well. And for the first time today, we are live on Instagram or Instagram Live or whatever you call it. Not sure how that's going to work, but we're trying it. So if you're watching on Instagram, like I said in the build-up, please let us know how it's going, how it's running, how it's sounding. And of course, we're live on Twitter as well. So give us a wee share, retweet, whatever you call it there, a like, a comment on there. And we'll try and read out as many of your comments as possible. And I'm joined again by Iain and Connor. Connor, how are you?
I'm feeling a lot better after that 90 minutes. That's for sure. Still clearly plenty to be delved into and be better at and be worked on. But, you know, cup semi-final, the important thing was to get through, and we did that. Happy for that aspect.
Yeah. And just for the comments there, my hairdresser will be getting sacked. Just for some of the comments that are coming in. Iain, I would imagine after the few weeks that we've had, after how down we've been, there's a lot of people saying before the game, look, I'm really no fussed about this, which I think everybody's always fussed about a Scottish Cup semi-final. You always want to win it. I said after the Dundee game, I don't care about this game. It always changes on the day of it. If you'd offered us a 2-0 win against the third best team in the league after the performances we've been putting in, you take that, don't you?
I would have just shook your hand and said, right, no need to play the day. I'll take the 2-0, go home and just chill out for the rest of it. Because I said it before we ended the pre-match that I wasn't confident. After 10 minutes, the confidence came up a little bit, but overall, like you said, it was just an odd game. But you take that 2-0 and run to the final at the end of May. So got to take what you get.
You do. And you know what? There was some really good individual performances. There was some okay individual performances. And then there was some not okay individual performances. Connor, if we just touch on Hearts before we delve into the world of Rangers Football Club. Hearts played okay. At times, they had some good attacks, just dreadful in the final third.
Yeah, 100%. The final third, they were really poor, which surprised me, I must say, because, you know, I normally would have expected them to be a lot more clinical. I mean, you know, first and foremost, got to say, fair play to Jack Butland. He did produce a couple of top-class moments. I think the one over the top where he's managed to get at his feet, I mean, it was probably offside, but he wasn't to know that. But apart from those moments, he didn't really get called into action. I just thought Hearts, you know, up until they got, you know, to a certain point, they looked okay. And then their finishing was poor. It was decision-making as well in terms of trying to play balls in behind. You thought, well, it's not working. Some of the passing, I mean, there was the moment where they got through with the Suter one, and he's got to play it in, I think, basically first time, Fargas, because Forrest has got goal side. And if he does that, it's probably a goal. So thankfully he didn't. But certainly that aspect, it was poor. And yeah, you know, their long wait for a first win over Rangers at Hampden continues.
Yes, it most certainly does. We have our first super chat in of the day, and it's channel member, and somebody who always helps to support the Rabble, Charles. Thank you very much, Charles. Iain, good win. Cantwell and Lundstrom, best players on the park. I agree with half of that.
Yeah, I agree with 50% of that. Cantwell was outstanding. Lundstrom was out there. That's the best thing I think I can say about Lundstrom. I think Lundstrom led to a lot of the chances that Hearts got, particularly in the first half. So I can't really agree that he was the best player on the park. He had moments. He had little flashes, but overall I thought he was quite poor today. And I think had Sima not already gone off injured, I think I would have been itching for him to come off at halftime for Raskin. But Cantwell. That's the Cantwell I want to see week in, week out, all of the time. That's the Cantwell. Get in their face. Brilliant footwork. Still needs a little bit of protection from time to time. But yeah, I mean, Charles is 50% right. So £2.50 of a super chat, bang on.
Yeah, I mean, that just goes to show you about how everybody sees the game, Connor, completely differently.
Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things. I think sometimes there's maybe, there's certain players that, you like more than others, so you might have more of a bias towards them, and that even when they've maybe not played great, you'll pick out one or two good moments, score that equates that he's had a good game. But I think, obviously, as you say, people just see it differently.
I don't think necessarily Connor Lundstrom was poor, to be honest.
No.
I thought Lundstrom he done some really good things in the game, and he done some poor things. I thought he was just okay. Put it this way, he looked a lot better with Diamandi beside him. I'll give him that.
Yeah, no, I'll give him that. He did. I mean, look, he done okay. I think that's probably the way to say it. He certainly, he got out of jail a little bit because, he handed Hearts a big chance with just a poor pass, another slack one. Thankfully, they didn't take it, and he gets away with one. And fair enough, these things happen. I think Cantwell probably man of the match. I think if it wasn't for the fact that Big Cyril gets 2 goals, which usually is going to get you a man of the match, if you do that, he probably would have got it because he was brilliant in large spells today. And I just want to give a quick nod to the captain because I thought Tavernier defensively was actually really good today. I thought his block when he's bailed out Suter, he's in the right place there on the line. He stopped that going through, which is brilliant. And he stood up to the challenge a bit more today. His free kick could have been better, but apart from that, I thought he had a real good game as well.
Charles, I'll come to your second super chat in a wee minute, buddy. We'll get that a wee bit later on down the line. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the start to the game, Ian, it's nice to see us actually have a fast start and look dangerous at the very beginning of the game. And it only took 5 minutes. And as Connor mentioned there, a lot of it down to the captain. Now, can I just state before we carry on, because people are very, very quick to jump on you when you praise people. I'm not sitting here, and anybody who gets praised today, who has been poor in the past, or who I've said, or Ian or Connor, or using the comments have said, I don't want to see him here next season. We need to move him on to progress as a football club. Just because somebody plays well in one game and you give him praise does not mean that you think then he's the next coming of Christ and that he's going to be phenomenal for his next season, and that we need to start offering new contracts. That's not how it works. You take it on a game-by-game basis, and that's what we're doing. So please don't jump down my throat, certainly. Just putting that out there. But the first goal in comes for Tav, doing really well, gets filled, manages to get back up, makes a pass to Cantwell into Dessers, and Dessers, who we said in the pre-match, he really needs to step up and not play like Cyril Dessers. Does a not Dessers who scores?
That goal from start to finish was superb. I mean, Tav does that really well. When he does it well, he does it superbly. That drive, cut in and drive from the side of the pitch. And this is one of the few times in this I'm going to actually give the ref some credit, because he could easily have pulled up for a foul, allowed it to continue. Cantwell drives forward, brilliant ball in, and great feat for a big man, I think it's the phrase, is it not? And Dessers tucks it away. The whole thing from start to finish was just superb. And I just put a comment in our chat that said, like, where has this Rangers been for the last couple of games? Because this is what we expect, particularly considering what we've seen since Clement has come in. This is what we've been expecting, and why we've not had that, I don't know. But it was nice for once, instead of the other team looking like they're going to take the lead inside the first couple of minutes, for us to do it, which probably really affected Hearts' game plan, because I don't think they were expecting us to come out like that. So it's knocked them as well. They didn't know what to do. So just really glad that we actually got on the front foot and we didn't have to battle to get back into a game. I'm glad we could hold it.
I get Davy P's being sarcastic, and everybody, David knows that everybody loves him. But genuinely, somebody will say that. There's Martin saying Tav Dessers is Christ and he deserves a 10-year contract. Somebody will no doubt take that from what I'm saying. But Connor, it's nice to be able to come on to a reaction. And look, everything isn't hunky-dory. Just because we won today and we get into a final doesn't change the fact of how poor we've been, right? And we need to realise that, and we can't ignore that. But just on the basis of the game today, it's good to come into a reaction and go, we won. Maybe not quite as comfortably as we would have all have liked, but we won with a fast start and our striker scored 2 goals.
Oh, exactly. Look, all we can do is win the game today and get ourselves through. We did that at the end of the day. It doesn't, all of a sudden mean overnight all problems are solved and everything's, rosy in the garden again. I think clearly, we've said that, and, certainly some moments we've touched on already, that there is still a lot of improvement required, and it's going to take an immense effort between now and the end of the season to salvage certainly the league. The cup's a one-off game against them. You never know what can happen in those games, but realistically, our season now rides on us putting in 2 big performances against Celtic, because 2 wins against them, all of a sudden, the potential for a treble is back on track. And I will say here and now, if somehow this team miraculously pull that off, I think you could probably make a case for this being the poorest team to ever even be in the position to potentially be talking about it. But today, to be fair to them, you've got to give some credit in terms of they didn't go under, they didn't crumble, they didn't shy away from the fact that 2 poor results coming into this, huge pressure on the shoulders. You've got that Diddy, Stephen A. Smith trying to make the silly comments he made before the game. Well, he's got egg in his face now. And I think in the end, they stood up to it and they got the job done. And that we can enjoy that for now, at least.
No, absolutely we can. And listen, it could be worse, folks, to be a football fan than if you were a Manchester United supporter. I think even if they go on to win that game, I didn't even know that the game was on until Ian told me that they were 3-0 up and against Coventry, and now it's 3-3. I have no idea how that happens in football. I really, really don't. But I sincerely hope Coventry go on and win that, because that would just absolutely make my Sunday. It really would. Ian, after the goal, right? And in fact, no, let's talk Dessers actually for the goal. Like I say, Tav does brilliant. Cantwell gives it to Dessers. Brilliant feet for the big man and a great finish right under, I think it went under the legs of Craig Gordon, for the first one and the second one. We'll come on to that later. But a lot of pressure on Dessers, a lot of pressure on the guy, and he does really well. And I must say, I'm absolutely delighted for him, because Ian, we sit here and we criticise players, and I think some people actually think that we enjoy criticising players. I most certainly don't. I hate criticising any Rangers player, regardless of how much they annoy me or how much I think they're not good enough for our club and they're actually doing our club harm. I hate criticising them. So see, when Dessers has a game like today, I'm absolutely delighted.
I mean, we've all given Dessers his criticism, and he's deserved it. But equally, the man scored 19. He's nearly at 20 for the season. So he's at least he is scoring with the criticism anyway. But he gets the criticism because he does Dessers type things, and he did a couple of Dessers type things today as well. But he scored 2, so therefore that gets rid of those issues. He was brilliant today. The goals aside, his work rate, he was holding up. He worked that Hearts backline tirelessly all day, and they knew that they'll go in today knowing they've had a game. His work rate was superb. His closing down, his thinking, because that free kick in the second half that nobody else knew had been kicked. Even the ref didn't know they'd taken it. But Dessers did, and he nearly got to Gordon before he got away with the clearance. So credit where credit's due. Dessers overall today was superb. Not quite good enough for man of the match in my opinion, but Coisty Strikers Union. But overall, I thought he was superb.
I don't know how you can say that, Ian. I don't know how somebody who can play well, overall footballing wise, might not have played as well as somebody else, but I thought he played really well, and he scored 2 goals. How on earth can that not be man of the match?
Because, as you've already said, we all see things differently when we're watching football.
No, I get that, but if somebody's played well and scored 2 goals, I mean,
I've got no issues with him being given
I don't
that.
get how that doesn't automatically just make you man of the match.
my opinion on man of the match was somebody else. So I don't know if you want to know who it was, but I would have given it to Balogun personally. I thought Balogun was superb from minute 1 to minute 90.
Balogun was absolutely outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. And maybe it's unfair, but if somebody plays well and scores 2 goals, I mean, is there even a debate about man? Even if Balogun had walked on water during the game, if you score 2 goals and you play well, you're man of the match, surely.
Balogun had walked on water, and during the match, he would be the second coming of Christ and given a 10-year contract, surely.
That's fair enough. All the plates are safe in Ian's house tonight. Connor, after the goal, though, it was weird, Connor, because I'm expecting Rangers then to kick on, Hearts' heads to be down, but it almost seemed as if for the rest of that first half, not that we went into a shell, but we certainly weren't in complete control of the game, and Hearts came right back into it.
They did. I thought Hearts reacted better to the goal and us going in front of them than we did, to be honest with you. I think, as you say, it's maybe not quite a case of completely going into the shell, but I think, Hearts did start to put together a couple of passes and they started causing 1 or 2 sort of problems. And I don't know if there was an aspect of just a bit of a nervousness just because the way the last 2 games have went, and they've maybe went like, just, we've got this league now, nothing silly, just, keep everything sort of calm as you like if you can, and it just sort of maybe allowed Hearts to keep into it. But that being said, Hearts had a lot of the ball after that without really doing much with it to cause us any problems, and that was in part due to how poor they were in the final third, but also in part because we were defensively a bit sharper today. Apart from 1 or 2 moments for Suter, which we'll come on to, we were a lot sharper defensively today. We were closing things down better. People were getting themselves back into the right positions, and I think that helped us as well, just, keep it going. But you did feel as the game's going on, you're kind of thinking, we need this second goal, because as long as it's won, they're going to get that chance. Now, they did get a big chance, thankfully, though it was after we were 2-0 up, and obviously Butland saved it. But I just think that's kind of sort of what happened. But then again, I thought we came out in the second half and we looked a lot better than we did towards the end of the first half. We were a bit more aggressive again, and got off to a decent start on that one, and then started to take a bit more control of the game.
We did. However, there is a massive negative from the game, Ian. It can't be understated how big a negative it is. I'm hoping it's just a simple precaution. I'm hoping that he's going to be back available for the next game. If not the next game, certainly the games after that. It can't be. The few misses are running, I think it severely dents any chance, even if we've only got a slight chance. And not just going on to win the Scottish Cup, but even making a challenge for the league. Sima comes off. It's looking like a hamstring. And I hope to God that he's back soon, because we need him.
Yeah, and you could tell. No, this is not a slight on McCausland at all, because I thought he did well when he came in. But you could tell that him going off really rocked us for a good portion of that first half. We weren't as fluent. We weren't as hectic. Well, not hectic. Not as strong as we were down that side. Pretty much for the remainder of that first half. So yeah, hopefully the fact that he's walked off unaided, the trainers weren't on, he's felt something, he's not happy, and they've just straight away gone, right, we're not going to take any risks, we'll get you off, we'll get McCausland on. It's easy just to go, right, run it for a bit, because it's only the first half, we'll see how you do, we'll get you into half time, and if you're still having a problem, we'll get you off. And that's when you do your hamstring, that big limp that you normally get, there didn't seem to be any of that, and he looked quite comfortable sitting on the bench. During the second half, there wasn't any reports of him having ice packs on him or anything like that. So hopefully it's just precaution, like you say, and he gets back really, really quickly, ideally for the next game, if not the game after that. Because when it comes to playing them at their place, I definitely want him.
Oh, we need him. We need him. 100%.
Hopefully he's fine, and that's not the end of his season for us.
No, absolutely, Connor. We need him. And look, that, and like Ian says, and I'll repeat it, that's no slight on Ross. I thought when Ross came on, he done okay, done well. For some strange reason, I think a few of the players still felt that Sima was on the park, with the long balls they were trying to give him, and Ross McCausland's, I think he's smaller than Stephen Naismith, so I mean that was a bit baffling, and he done well and he done okay. And I want all of our youngsters who come through the academy to come into the first team and play well, but he's no Sima.
No, he's not, and I think that played part in what we were saying earlier about how Hearts had reacted better to us scoring the goal, and we maybe kind of dropped off a little bit. I think that played a part in it, because obviously when Sima goes off for that first period, as you said, it was bizarre. We never actually switched up really how we were playing for a while there, and they were just still trying those balls that you would play for Sima. And but Ross, I thought done well when he came on. He showed good feet at times, good bits of pace. Final ball could maybe have done with a bit of work at times, but he's not that big, strong player that Sima is. So launching those long balls up for him to try and chase and muscle defenders off, that's not the way to approach that. And for whatever strange reason, we didn't stop doing that. Probably until the second half, really, when we started to realise, right, the best way to get McCausland in the game is a couple of passes, get at him into his feet, and let him run at the defenders, which he did very well. But Sima's, I agree with everything that you just said there. We hopefully it's not more than a precaution, and it'll be absolutely fine, because we cannot afford to lose him. Any slight slimmer of hope we've got of recovering the situation in the league, and particularly of going to Parkhead and getting a win, he's got to be part of the team for us to do that. Because I think if he's out, I'm not sure that we actually can do it.
I mean, he's got to be part of it. We've got to get rid of Van back and put Sterling in beside Diamandi. You do that, and then we have got a chance. But absolutely. Sima is an absolute must. Into the second half, Ian, and look, everybody's talking about a certain centre back. Trust me, we're going to come back and discuss them. And Charles, I haven't forgot about your super chat, buddy. I will bring it up very, very, very shortly. Into the second half, Ian, and again, it was kind of more of the same. It was kind of, I don't want to say 50-50, but I mean, I haven't watched it yet. I haven't watched the highlights because I'm doing the Scottish Football Show later with Connor, so I'm going to have to at some point watch the highlights of the game yesterday. But everybody was saying, and everybody that I've seen was saying, what a great advert for Scottish football that game was yesterday. The passing from us and them was, I mean, poor to awful, I think, for quite the vast majority of that second half. It was very open. It was a very open game. And up until maybe the last 10 or 15 minutes, the chances that were created, there wasn't much. And the overall play, I think, for both teams, they both looked really nervy.
Yeah, they did. I mean, honestly, I really do hate to agree with that man. But Michael Stewart did mention the fact that you could tell that Rangers looked nervous at times, and with what's been going on the last few weeks. And he was right. You could see that there was a little bit of nerves creeping in until we got that second goal. We didn't really relax until we got that one. But there were passages of play. I think there was one in particular where like 30 seconds, Hearts gave the ball away 4 times. We gave the ball away 3 times, and it just sort of rolled around in the middle of the park. It wasn't ideal. Hearts didn't really seem to know what to do half the time. And then when we got the ball, I think we kind of overthought it for the most part and played it into spaces instead of trying to find the player. We played it into where we expected someone to be. So I wouldn't say yesterday's was as overall much better than what we saw today. It was just another 2 poor teams battling, and it ended up as a 3-3 draw. But there's much work still needs to be done at this point. We need to be able to calmly do what we do, and I think we'd be better at it. Try actually putting the ball into feet as opposed to a space where you expect someone to be standing. We've not been that great at it. So just 2 teams that one, I think they described it the best, is that one team came out wanting to win and the other one came in hoping not to lose. And it played like that.
It did. Don't get me wrong. I think, Connor, for the vast majority of the game, and look, we'll discuss the second goal in a minute. For the vast majority of the game, I think we were the better team. Although, like I said to you before we started, and people are going to think I'm being overly negative here. I'm really not. We won 2-0. We're through to a cup final. we're still technically fighting for a treble, right? But that game today did not kind of quench my thirst in terms of my worry about
Mm.
how we are still playing, how open we are in midfield, how open we are to the counter attack. Because Hearts did create a few chances, and Shankland had one at the back post with a header, but he's really got to score. Oda had a chance going forward. We are still leaving ourselves, very, very open at the back, and there's still not that cohesion in the middle of the park.
Absolutely, and that's.
And I don't know if quench my thirst was the right thing to use there, but it's all I could think of.
No, I mean, look, I think that is the point. Look, we're all obviously, delighted that we're in the final. Of course we are, but you want to see something that gets you a bit more excited for the rest of it. That makes you think, yeah, we've still got that fight in there. We're still going to be in this, and I think, as you say, how open we were at times definitely leaves some room for concern, because if Hearts were more clinical, they certainly would have got at least one goal today. If not maybe a couple. So that is something that we do need to be working on and be better at. I think for me, I'll reserve judgment on that until we play in Paisley next week. I think once we go into that game and we see how we respond in terms of the league, another tricky away venue potentially. If the last two's ain't to go away, so we can go there and put in another good performance, and we look a bit tighter at the back as well and get a win, then my confidence will start to go up. But that's what Rangers have got to do now. Keep winning games, and if they keep doing that, then we will all start to feel a bit more confidence keeping in again. Because the first task now is, into the final, tick that off the list. We've got that done. Now it's, can you win all your games between now and going to Parkhead on the 11th of May? And then that's going to be the fortnight that will decide our season, because that game's the 11th. The Scottish Cup final is the 25th. In between that, there's obviously midweek fixtures in the league. But that's where genuinely the treble will be decided in that week for me, because if we can beat them twice, they then have to follow up the game at Parkhead with a midweek away trip to Kilmarnock, which won't be easy. And then you never know what happens in the final. So that's where we need to improve. But if they keep winning games and start to look a bit stronger, then I said before we come on, I think there's a few people in the comments make the point as well. I think there's a chance that in Paisley next week it will be Goldson and Balogun. We'll see, because if you're going to drop Connor Goldson because he's been poor, well, I'm afraid John Souttar's not been much better the last couple of games. And again today, he had some honking moments, real stinkers. So I could see him being dropped and changing it again next week. Whether that's a good thing to do, I don't know, but I can see it happen. I
mean, I'll bring up Charles's second super chat. Actually, again, Charles, thank you very much for the support, buddy. Matondo, McCausland, and Suter poor. Dessers could have scored more, and Fabio wouldn't take him for free. Again, I'm about 75% on what Charles is saying there. Matondo, yeah. I said it pre-match. I much prefer Matondo coming off the bench, because I've never seen him have a good performance from when he started. McCausland, I thought, done well when he came on. He had opportunities where he could have maybe took on a defender a bit more, but we don't know what Clement's asking him to do, so I thought he done well. Suter, yeah. I mean, 50-50 today. He done some stuff well, and he had a few honking touches and could have cost us goals. And I mean, Dessers has scored 2. What more do you want? And as for Fabio Silva, Iain, yeah, he can go back to Wolves.
Yeah, we agree with the Matondo thing. That I said in the pre-show that he deserves his chance to start. He's got to be able to take his chance now and show us exactly what he is, and show us he's not an impact player. Didn't do it. So from now on, he's an impact player. I thought McCausland grew into it quite well. Second half, he was dangerous. But Suter was doing all right. And then, I don't know what happened, but he tried to take that extra touch which let Hearts go in. And if it wasn't for, I thought it was Balogun, but apparently it was Tav covering.
But she done a few times today, actually, really well.
Yeah, it could have been worse. And he died when they had that very good chance that Butland saved. He's, instead of standing up and making the player have a decision to make, he's dove in again and tried to get to win the ball. He just needs to stand in that position and make the player make a decision. He's made the decision easy for the striker, and if it's not for Butland, it's probably a closer end to the game than we all would be comfortable with. Dessers is always going to miss chances. That's Dessers, but he scored 2, so we'll get off his back for today. And yeah, Silva, I mean, that blade of grass came out of nowhere, took him out. So,
no, it really did it? Oh man, that's going to be clipped and used for years.
I don't know if he's seen the what was the boy that did it against Aberdeen? What was his name? I blanked him from my memory. The big gangly fella that they went off to have a pretty decent career when he went for Aberdeen and fell over. I think that Silva's just been looking at old clips and went, yeah, hold my beer. I'm gonna have a go at that. And
Sadiq.
That's him, Sadiq. He's just seen that clip and he's gone, right, hold my beer. I'm going to do better than this. I think slightly, if I'm Dessers, I'm raging because I could have easily took the shot on and got my hat trick today. But he's been unselfish. He's tried to put it in so that that Silva can get a goal. And for some reason, I don't know why, Silva's felt a phantom pushing. He's down on the floor. So, I don't even think Benny Hill music's going to make that any better. But he can go back to Wolves today if he wants. I'm quite happy to drive all the way up there now, pick him up and take him down to Wolves. I mean, it's a long old day, but I'll do it.
It's crap because it's just no worked out for him. You can see the quality that he does actually have, and I just don't know what's up with the boy. But it's a bit. I mean, as Smoke said there, he did offer more than Matondo, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he offered much because Matondo didn't really offer anything. But he did offer more. But we need quality in that position, and for whatever reason, Silva has that quality. He's really just not showing it. And if we talk about quality, Connor, we talk about Desser's second goal. The only thing we can discuss about that goal is Todd Cantwell.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was sensational. That run through for Todd Cantwell, he absolutely, he done their back line 6 days for Sunday. I mean, I think, the only slight annoyance for me was I'd have liked him to have scored it because he deserved it after that. But he does brilliantly well, and then to have the awareness once he busts into the box that Dessers is there, and credit to Dessers for following in with the run and getting himself in that position and keeping himself onside because he doesn't always do that in those situations. He plays a perfect ball for a big man to get a shot away. I think Gordon makes a decent save, but again, I thought good feet for Big Cyril to get the ball back and just take that touch, compose himself and finish it. Instead
that was 2 goals, Connor, through Craig Gordon's legs, wasn't
it? I think so. Yeah, I don't know if the first one was under him, but
if only Hearts had a keeper who was playing for them in goal all season playing.
Well, yeah, I mean, Craig Gordon's been playing in the Scottish Cup games for Hearts this season. Personally, and again, these will be talking points for the Scottish Football Show at 7:30 tonight. But certainly, clearly for me, you've got to play your number one keeper there. This isn't a, third or fourth round game against a low league team. I think Xander Clark would have every right to feel slightly aggrieved that he's not played in that occasion today. But it is what it is. And as I say, the big man took them well, but Todd Cantwell was outstanding, and I think he's another one for me personally. If Dessers doesn't get 2 goals, I think Cantwell's potentially man of the match. Particularly for his second half performance, I thought he was a lot better in the second half. He was still good in the first half, don't get me wrong, but I thought the second half he looked like he was enjoying himself out there. And then I think that was that his last contribution. I'm pretty sure he went off after that.
He went off straight after it. Yeah.
So that's the way to sign off for the day, isn't it?
As and that kind of performance, and I'm not talking about that kind of run, Iain, that he done, because you don't often get away with that. But that kind of performance that he put in, I will never say that Todd never gives 100% because he always does. But see, just that level of performance, we need to start seeing that more often, Phil.
Definitely, that's the Todd Cantwell we want. That's the Todd Cantwell we had at the tail end of last season, and he's done it in bits and bobs this year. But that's the Cantwell we want. And if you get that Cantwell week in, week out, there's no one in our league that will get anywhere near him. And I hope that is the start now, that he's going to have a run between now and the end of the season where that is what we see. And he's playing in the position that he likes to play in as well, which does help massively. He's not being told to play in a position that's a little bit alien to him. He's a quality enough player to be able to do it, but when you put him in the right place and get him to do what Todd Cantwell can do, that's the performance you get. The quick feet, the being able to run at people, and making the defense. See, because that's what I said about the shooter thing before. Cantwell's done exactly the same thing, but in an attacking sense. He's making the defenders make decisions, and it's making space for other people. And that's what you want. That's what you need. That's what that number 10 position does. And people like Dessers are only going to benefit from Cantwell being exactly like he has been today.
Right, we're going to hear from the manager. Right, I've just seen the clip. So it's from Premier Sports. Now, I'm not going to play it all because it's 7 minutes long. Right, so I'm not going to play it all. I'll cut it out I'll cut it off. Sorry, if I feel that the kind of questions that we want to hear have been answered. So we're certainly not going to hear the full 7 minutes of it. Otherwise, Connor might fall asleep. So we shall hear what the manager's got to say now, and we'll be back shortly.
Right, well, we can ask the Rangers manager now because Philippe Clement does join us. Philippe, we're just discussing Cyril Dess's generosity when passing the ball. He could have had a hat-trick today, but you must be happy with his 2 goals so far.
Yeah, for sure. But it's still a point to work on. He's too nice as a person, sometimes in the duels also. Today it was better. He kept the ball. He was strong. He scored a good goal. So important thing, but there's still some work to do on being more a killer. But if you see the progress he made the last 6 months, I think this is the last month is the best period of his career until now.
Philip, can I ask you, you made a very, very big call before the game, leaving Goldschmidt out and bringing Balogun in, who I thought played very, very well, particularly against a Hearts danger man that we know can score goals. What was your thought behind the move? And I'm guessing you're quite pleased the way it worked out.
The thought that Connor gave a lot this season already. He's been massive. He's been very important. We have the best defense in the league. Also because of him, his leadership, his coaching. But I felt some tiredness the last week. So the idea was to do it against Dundee. But then Leon became sick this week. So it was not possible to do. So that's why we did it today.
You speak about in your press conference saying the lads were hungry. You asked for composure. Do you think that was the difference today between the two teams?
No, I think it was more the quality on the ball was the difference. I saw composure, I saw hunger also on the other side with Hearts, but we were the better team on the ball. Although at the end of the game, we should have kept the ball a much better way. We were too eager to score the third goal and losing overview in those moments, and it became a little bit a basketball game, what I don't like too much with too many open spaces. But those are lessons to take. It's a young squad. Players coming in with a lot of hunger, eagerness to show themselves also, because they're hungry to be part of the team, to win trophies, and they need to win a little bit experience in that also, to do the right things on the right moment. So at the end of the game, we could have done that better, but I think the main thing of winning this game was being better on the ball and finding the right space.
And Philippe, Diamonde coming back in was a huge plus. I felt at the start he was working really hard, gets the ball forward, and he's on the front foot to try and get it back. Was a massive help.
Yeah, it's a very good signing in January without a budget to find somebody like that. So big credit to the recruitment team around that, and Dio's been very important. Also, the guys who replaced him now, the last week after his injury against Celtic, they're all players who are coming out of injury. Who miss some game rhythm, who don't show yet their best form, but it will be week by week better. Think about Tom Lawrence, about Kieran Dowell, about Nico Raskin who came in today. So it's about keep on working and being there for the team. And like this, we can grow again this last part of the season with more players available.
Hey, we'll leave that there. If you want to listen to the rest of it, then head over to Twitter and go to Premier Sports Twitter page, and you'll be able to listen to the rest of it. But Connor, he mentioned something there that I wanted to touch on about Dessers being too nice. I think he's actually got a point. by the way. I think Dessers is too nice, and I think it was you that mentioned that towards the end of the game, he shouldn't be squaring it to Silva. He should just be going for a goal there, and maybe that's just that clinicalness, that aggression, that self-centeredness. If he can get that in his game, maybe that does improve him.
Yeah, I think so. I think in that situation, I don't think there's very many, if any, other striker on the planet who's got 2 goals at that situation, is on a hat trick, and is squaring that. I think all day long, most strikers are having that thing and having a shot. I mean, you know, Ali McCoy said it. He said as well that if it was him, absolutely no chance would he have been passing that. I can understand to a degree he's maybe, you know, thinking, cut it back, should be a nice tap in for Silva, maybe help him out with a goal as well. And to be fair, it should have been a tap in for Silva. But, you know, for me in that situation, I'm hitting it. I'm just going to whack that. If the keeper saves it and it rebounds back out, fine. You've got Silva and McCausland in there anyway to fall in if needs be. So, yeah, I think maybe he could be doing maybe being a little bit more selfish and you know, try to do more for himself. It's hard because obviously you've got to weigh that up with the fact that there will be moments where he'll maybe take on a shot and we'll criticise him because he'll say, no, he should be squaring that there, he should be passing it, he's not got the angle. So it's finding that balance, really. I think today if he shoots that and scores, you're praising him all day long, saying great finish, he's got a hat trick. Equally, if Silva doesn't get tripped up by the invisible man, then, you know, you're still praising him for what was actually a fairly decent cutback to set Silva anyway.
I mean, maybe Yuri Geller was in the stands, I don't know. That's one for the older folks there. The old Yuri Geller in the helicopter, Scotland versus England. He also spoke about Goldson there, Ian, and said that the plan was to rest him for the Dundee game. I don't care what manager you are. See if your number one starting centre back, even if he's a bit tired, is fit. He plays a semi-final. He's been dropped. Surely he's been dropped.
I would say he's been dropped. You would say he's been dropped. Connor would say he's been dropped. The chat definitely made their mind up and said that he's been dropped. But it goes back to what we were talking about in the pre-match. It's nowadays with the way that they're trained to deal with the media and all the rest of it. He's not going to come out and go, do you know what? Goldson's been shit for 6 months, so he's got to come out of the team. So he's got to skirt around the issue as such to say that, you know, it was a planned thing. We were going to do it last week, but luckily for us, Balogun got ill, so we didn't do it last week. And but you know, I'm quite thankful that Balogun was ill against Dundee if that's the case, because then that means that Goldson didn't play today, and Balogun came in and gave the performance that he did. So I don't think Balogun starting against Dundee would have made any difference to what actually happened on that night. So for me, it's been a long time coming, and the sign was there. The Celtic game when they took him off with a couple of minutes to go, that was a warning shot, I think, across his bow. Improve, or you will come out the team. He hasn't, so now he's out the team. So yeah, he's been dropped.
And look, we have to discuss it now, Connor. Leon Balogun not played a lot, not been involved in the team a lot. He's been injured a bit this season. He comes into a semi-final, and I'll repeat myself, against the third best team in the league, with probably up there with Miovski as the best striker in the league, and he absolutely strolled it. I thought he was phenomenal. I was a little bit confused as to why Suter wasn't played on the right-hand side and Balogun came into the left-hand side. But regardless, Balogun absolutely strolled the game.
He did. He absolutely did. There was no moments of him looking uncomfortable. There was nothing. You know, his recovery pace, and I think somebody said this in the chat as well, his recovery pace for a 35-year-old is extraordinary. He gets back so quick. You know, there was that one where I think Shankland nips on the ball in front of him, and he just almost seemingly from nowhere just comes in, gets the ball around the back. It's just brilliant for him. And to be fair, you know, obviously I know he's had some injury problems this season and that, and obviously apparently he was ill last week, but it baffles me that, you know, he's not had more game time when he has been fit. You know, Michael Beale was the same at the start of the season, didn't play him as much as he should. Just come in and not played him so much either. But anytime Leon Balogun has played, I can't think of a bad performance for him this season when he's come on the park and played. He might have had quieter days in the day where he's maybe not being as involved, but he just has something in the idea that he's arguably on his day our best centre back is incredible. Really, because it shouldn't be the case, but he is. And I think if we can see more of him, I'd be happy, because even you look at that back line and they just seem to, as a unit, look much more comfortable with him in there than I've seen over certainly, of course, a fair period of time this season with Big Goldson in there, and I think that's very telling. So for me, I'd be giving him as much game time as I can for as long as he's fit, and if you want to interchange the other two, that's fine, because he's played with both of them this season. In fact, I think he's even played with Davies as well at one point, when both Goldson and Suter were injured. So for me, I think I want him to get more game time, because today he was outstanding, and as I say, he's not put much of a foot wrong any time he has played.
And look, I have to say, Ian, there's been a lot of chat about his age, right? I don't care what age you are. Look at Big Davy Weir. Look how long he played on for, right? If you're good enough, you're old enough. And that's whether you're young or you're old. It doesn't matter. And Denzel Merrick, channel member. Hello, Denzel. Not mentioned much on TV, but I thought Balogun was immense, and he was, and he absolutely strolled it. And now the question is, Ian, for us, I would imagine each one of us three would be sitting here saying, if he's fit enough, and if he's match fit enough, and if his body can handle it, he plays every single game that's left in this season. But does the manager think that?
Well, the way things are going, I would imagine that no, the manager probably doesn't see it like that. But I don't think that Balogun's done anything today or any time, like Connor said, when he's come in to warrant being taken back out again now. I mean, Suter's proven today that he's too quick with his thought process of diving in to get the ball. Goldson, for whatever reason, his form's dropped off a cliff this year. I don't know if it's just age or the fact that he just thinks that the league now is a stroll, so therefore he doesn't have to put the effort in. I don't know whatever reason for Connor's form it is, but it is literally going to be, for me as a supporter watching, and obviously not from the management point of view, it's Goldson and another for me at this point. But I don't know if Clement will see it like that, and whether you're going to find that you'll have Goldson back versus St Mirren, like Connor said, but it's regardless of whether he plays with Suter or alongside Balogun. But then that's why he's the manager. He makes the decisions. But for me, I don't see why you would take Balogun out. He strolled it against arguably one of the better teams in the league outside the top two.
Yeah, he did. He absolutely strolled it. He absolutely strolled that in. I don't know if that gave more confidence, Connor. I mean, bad example is Suter beside him, even though Suter made some horrendous mistakes. But I thought Tav defensively again today was so much better. Dujon Sterling on that left-hand side, he's not my favourite position for him playing in at left back. But again, I thought he performed really well. Even going forward, was it Oda? Had him on toast. Couldn't get near him. He was too strong. He was too physical. So I don't even know if Balogun coming back in there, even subconsciously, just makes everybody feel better. And in turn, we're more composed. We're better at defending. We're better on the ball.
Yeah, 100%. I think the thing is, when Balogun's in there, you know that he can handle himself, and you know that when he's got the ball and he's having to do that part and clear it, that he is very composed. I think the good thing with him as well is, and again, this isn't just be an absolute Goldson bashing, because I do think Goldson, over the years he's been with, has certainly, he's been brilliant in moments, and he's had bad moments. I think with Balogun, he doesn't just always look for that long diagonal, long ball over the top. He's quite happy to play a bit of football and pass it into his midfield and try and get things moving that way, because sometimes in games, particularly when you're under a little bit of pressure, which happens in games, teams are going to have wee spells. Just keeping a bit of the ball, a bit of possession, couple of passes together, just calming things down and giving, yourselves as defenders that bit of a rest for having to constantly be defending is very good and very clever. And I think he does it. And I just think that gives the players around him a lot more confidence, knowing that he can do that. And you've seen that today, because I thought, okay, Suter had his probably wobbly moments. Apart from that, he was okay in the game, Suter, apart from those moments. Tav, arguably, some people might disagree, but for me, that is one of the best defensive performances I've seen James Tavernier put in a Rangers jersey, personally. In terms
Well,
of,
I can't really remember, Connor, many mistakes that he made defensively. And
no,
after every Rangers game, you can always put one or two is fresh in your memory, mistakes that he's made. Didn't see many of those today.
no, there wasn't any really. And his positioning, he was getting himself in the right place at the right time to get in front of things. As I said, when there was a mistake made by Suter and Vargas tries to square it across, it's Tavernier that's there virtually in his own goal line to block it, stop it going through to Shanklin for a tap in. But more than that, he also doesn't put it into the back of his own net either, which sometimes can happen there if you get caught up. So again, maybe it is that, as you say, that they just feel more confident with Balogun in there alongside them right now. And to be fair, that's the way it should be. Goldson's not been good enough, so Philip come on was every right to drop him. And I hope that we see Balogun again next week.
Listen, so do I. I'm praying that we see Balogun again next week. Aldo, channel member, has also put in a super chat, and his super chat is my previous point hits the button with Big Balogun. So I'll bring up his previous comment, and that is that Balogun is a defender first and foremost, and that is what we need, not a kid on defender that thinks he's a quarterback. And Ian, that actually moves me on to one thing I did want to discuss, and that's something that I'm getting a wee bit fed up with, and I know that we've used that a lot. And in the past, it's kind of worked. It's stopped working. See this big long diagonal pass, because we seem to, for the majority of the game, just try and cut out the midfield. And when we actually use the midfield and we transition quick and we get the ball to Cantwell or Sima or McCausland or Silva or Matondo, we look dangerous. But far too often during games now, it's a case I get the ball and lump it up the park. That's what you do. That's what you do at schoolboy football.
And that's what every team in Scotland wants you to do against them, because they can cope with it with their big, massive centre halves that they've all got. So they're looking to do that. And initially it works and it looks great. And the long raking ball over the pitch to onto your foot, and then you break off. It's brilliant. But then teams get used to it and they know you're going to do it. So they just sit off, let you do it, and then cut it off. And this one, I quite like agreeing with Michael Stewart on this one, because it nearly made him cry. The amount of times that we did actually do the whole quick ball into the middle, Cantwell, Lundstrom, and then try and either go through the middle or go out wide. And we cut through Hearts like a knife through butter, as the saying goes. I don't know if that's a Scottish thing or an English thing, but
it's a hot knife through butter.
Yeah, that one too. It hasn't got a plate in it, so I'm not bothered. But when we actually get the ball down and play, okay, we need to get the confidence up to do it a little bit more, but you can see how good we actually are on the ball when we get it right. And we did. When we play
quickly, which we don't do anywhere near enough.
If we play quick, I don't want to hark on about them across the road, but they do that. That's what
in spells. And look, if we're comparing the two teams, they're slightly better than us. And
ever so slightly, yeah.
And that's it. I've said they're a good team, they're not a great team, and we are just about a good team. If we play like
we can beat anybody.
Yeah, but if we continue playing the way that we're playing, obviously not today, but if we continue playing it, we're just behind them. They're just slightly better. They're not a great team, but they're a good team. And they've got some very, very good players that can make the difference for them. We've just not had those players. We've got them, but they've not shown it. And we need our players to start showing that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, though, I mean, that's what we need the players to start showing, but we also need to get at them at their back line, because we've not done that in the games, really. You know, obviously, yes, we got 3 at Ibrox, and certainly after the incident with the penalty and stuff like that, we did start to ask questions of the line, and that's when you seen them panicking a bit, because they do that. I mean, it's funny because yesterday before their game, Big Brenda came out and said, "Oh, you know, I think the thing that I'm liking just now that's improving the most is our defence. Is looking really good." And then he goes and chips 3 goals to Aberdeen, 2 of which were identical balls into the box to the back post. That's the sort of stuff we haven't done enough when we've played them, and I think that's what you're looking for us to start doing more, and being more aggressive in those moments, because reality is, I agree with you in that they are a slightly better team than us just now, but we should, in all honesty, looking at the games we played against them, we should have won at least one of those games. The fact we haven't is a debate on its own, but again, it is just about us actually being
but we haven't beat them. This is the thing. We haven't beat them. And you can point back to certain incidents here and certain incidents there where other players could have done better or we could have got the rub of the green, but we haven't beaten them. They've beaten us and moved through. So we haven't technically laid a finger on them yet this season. And if we don't, in the next game, they win the league. It's as simple as that. So our players have to start playing a bit more like today, start building a bit of confidence and using today as a kind of springboard to go, look, come on, guys. This is what happens when you put the foot down a wee bit. That's just what happens when you get Todd Cantwell on the ball in the middle of the park and you create the space and you can run at players. That's what happens when you continually get the body dessers in the 6-yard box. This is what we're capable of. This is what we can do. Come on, let's go do it.
With that, and you add in all the negative stuff as well. So this is what people expect us to do. Let's go out and prove them wrong. So you put it all together, big bundle up, and just, again, as Stevie G used to say, just leave it all out there. You've got, 6 games left now to the end of the season in total. Just leave everything out there for every single game. If you come up short, you come up short, but you gave everything. And even at that, that's enough for the fans to get the fans back on side. You're showing that every game, regardless of what happens. They're gonna go with you. Just don't melt like they have done in the last couple of weeks. And just to answer Stephen Gillespie's question, yes, they are, because I spend a lot of time in the kitchen.
Right, gents. Well, I think that'll probably do it. I'll just ask you one final question, and it's for both of you, and Connor, I'll come to you first. Has that game today, that result today, the fact we're through to a final, has that changed your mindset at all looking at this Rangers team going forward for the rest of the league games, or is one game not enough?
I don't think one game's enough just yet. Certainly, I'm a lot happier today than I've been in the past week. With the side, I do think they did eventually step up to the challenge today and they got a job done. That being said, there was moments in that game where they get the rubber green as well. So it's going to take more than this game. Like I said earlier, I'm reserving judgment at least until I see what kind of performance we put in Paisley next Sunday.
Ian?
One swallow does not a summer make. So one game, there you go. That wasn't a kitchen reference, was it?
I love it. I can't believe it. It's 4-3 to Coventry. I love it.
To Coventry.
I love it when people...
In the very last minute of extra time, there is no time to come back. So that's United.
But you know what I love about this podcast is that see every single person who tries to make a metaphor, they get it wrong. It's great. Sometimes they get it wrong with dire consequences, I may add. However, carry on, Ian.
Anyway, you know what I'm trying to get at anyway. And then Coventry came to my rescue and did what they did. But it makes me feel better.
Ian, we're going to win the treble. We're going to beat them at Parkhead. We're going to rattle them in the Scottish Cup final. The players are going to start looking like prime Maradona, and everything's going to be all right. And
then we're going to just take a Rangers team to the Euros, and we'll win that as well. Screw it.
Just take them in the Euros. Aye, absolutely. The Coventry goal's offside, by the way. Okay, folks, that will do us. Thank you so much for tuning in. At least it was a positive match reaction this time. So a wee bit of a smile on my faces. We're through to a cup final, and who knows now what the future holds. And we're back tomorrow night, 7:30 with the phone in for your Rangers content. And we're back tonight at 7:30 as well for the Scottish Football Show Scottish Cup special. Jesus, that's quite difficult to see when you've got a slight lisp with a letter S. That's at 7:30. That's myself, Connor, and who else, Connor?
Care if he's still with us after what's been happening at Wembley.
Well, it's still 3-3, so it's going to penalties with Man U.
Is it still 3-3?
Yeah, it was offside the goal, I believe. We're back tonight. We're back tonight at 7:30, folks. And then, of course, if you're not interested in the Scottish Football Show, then we're back tomorrow night at 7:30, where you can have your say on everything Rangers as well. So thank you for joining us, folks, and we shall speak to you all very, very soon.